Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Let me talk to you today about biosecurity education, specifically in Pakistani's perspective, background, global collaboration. And here I would love to talk to acknowledge Li Jun Chong, a great friend, having a lot of efforts in this discipline, and our mentor of all of us, Malcolm Dando, who was leading us from the forefront was the last 2 decades almost now. We are working together, and because of them, we have very good things in Pakistan now. Just for the beginners, what is biosecurity? Very, very simple. To protect biological material. Biological material means pathogen, toxins, viruses, bacteria, etc., from accidental exposure or intentional misuse by anybody. It can be theft, it can be bioterrorism, etc. So that is what biosecurity is. And in this, one main, when we say theft and misuse intentional, is dual use awareness. And that is, it may be used either intentionally or unintentionally. So we have to understand the legitimate biological research and potential of misuse for harmful purpose. So this is what we talk about dual use. Now, the ground reality of Pakistan. One, geopolitical compulsions. We are surrounded by countries where problems do exist, like in India on one side. We have Iran, we have bordering with Iran, Afghanistan, China. So the area is quite significantly important, geopolitically speaking. Things were happening here, the Cold War, and even now. Then the regional security challenges with this modern world. So because of that, there is a risk of dual use material like fertilizer were used as as a devices to kill people. So that, I mean, the use of even fertilizer as dual use. So you can understand what problem do we have. Another problem is associated with all this. Then human beings are available for to misuse them because of exploiting their poverty. We have population growth, huge population here. In the last, 2 decades, the number increased quite a lot. And of course, the Afghanistan border, which is and which was one of the biggest producer of poppy crop. That's another thing that we are surrounded by. So, understanding all this, what we did in the beginning, since early this century, I will call it, we started introducing biosecurity education in Pakistan. First of all, what we did with Italy, our friends in LNCV, with Bradford, with US National Academy of Sciences, we did gap analysis to understand what's on the ground. So we did survey about awareness. Similar things were done in Europe too. And we then started, when we had that data available, we started educating scientists for their international and national responsibility, like BTWC, for example, International Security Council Resolution 1940, for example. And then we got to let them know that they may not use things horribly, but there is a dual use dilemma. People can misuse it, their laboratory facilities. So there, what was needed was the scientific ethics. I will be talking a little bit about it, and voluntary code of conduct for the scientists. Now, when we did gap analysis, what did we learn? In 2011, the final one, I mean, before that, we did a little bit of small pieces, but the 500 participants throughout the country, we noted that there was a low awareness. 70% of the people never heard about biosafety and biosecurity at that time. 87% of the students were totally unaware of dual use of education, including even a dean of science. When I talked to him, he said, "Come on, man, what you are talking about? You are talking about the misuse of television for this, for the family." So they were not knowing, and so this is what we started then educating them and introduced courses, etc. I will be talking to you about that also, and then risk awareness. The 29% showed concern about the misuse of laboratory facilities for bioterrorism, etc. So with this background, then we introduced courses with the help of our colleagues in Bradford and US Academy. So many of the universities now teaches dual use of education subject and biosecurity subject. Few examples here. Government College University Lahore introduces courses in microbiology as a biosafety and risk management, for example. And where I served as a dean, Qaid-e-Azam University, the best university in the country, we introduces courses on bioethics, for example, in Department of Biochemistry and Microbiology. We had biological safety and risk management courses and bioethics, etc. And in plant sciences, we have bioethics and biotechnology, bioethics, and dual use of education courses were introduced in these area and then was expanded later on. The other thing we did was several workshops for awareness raising. And this was again with LNCV. Italy, for example, this slide shows you the pictures of at that time when the Italian ambassador, our vice chancellor, and we had a task force in Pakistan whose director general was here. So we invited students from all the country and the teachers, and we had, gave them a lot of information about this dual use of education. This was one side. The other side was we printed material for the international audience. I give you here only two examples, there are many, that we published dual use education, sort of a booklet with the inter-academy partnership, IAP. We had, with LNCV, produced book on dual use of life sciences, and we had publications, a lesson learned from implementing this in countries like Pakistan and others with the friends of, students of Malcolm Dando and Malcolm Dando himself. We published several material on this. And this all things didn't happen in isolation. We were involved with many people. Here I show few, and there is another slide coming where I will be telling you what we did within the country and outside the country. Like I said, U.S. National Academy of Sciences, LNCV, Virtual Biosecurity, AAAS, Bradford University, Bioengagement Program of U.S., International Council for Life Sciences, etc., etc. So this is what we did, and with all of help of them, we had published. I give you a recent example. This is the cartoon that were developed by acknowledgement to the London Metropolitan University. Lee Jung Shah is there, and we did it in the local languages to tell them on a very, understanding level to the students of even school and colleges. What do we mean by dual use of education and biosecurity and biosafety, etc. And there were several video conferencing and several workshops around the country. We had many events in the Middle East. We call it broader Middle Eastern countries, including Afghanistan. Even with India, we were meeting in the third country, like we went to Seychelles Island, many places where we were trying to, capacity building of the people there. We did in Netherlands, we did in UK, we did in many countries. We were discussing all these issues at a global level, and I will be telling you why at the global level. So, and then we submitted several papers to the international forum, like review conferences. For example, BWC, Malcolm Dando was leading us, but there were many countries involved with us, like Kenya, Sweden, China, UK, etc., to submit several things. Code of conduct is one example. So this was a sort of awareness to the ambassadors, to the diplomats. What do we mean and why we need it? So in Pakistan, if I localize it, now there is a responsible conduct of science kind of mechanism in place. We have a higher education commission. So whenever we submit, they have established in each university, there are institutional biosafety committee, bioethics committee that analyzes, keeps an eye on it, and then it goes through various channels finally before funding. So it's not only the labs, it's for funding, it's for even publication. We have some committees to analyze all this. So these are the steps taken. We have ORIX, which called Office for, Research, Innovation and Commercialization. That keeps an eye, and we involve the local industry to, do all this. We involved media also, like this is only a few slides. What we did, we were talking to the people about all this concern that we have. So things are happening. These are few examples of the book that we published. For example, biotechnology in developing countries, for example, biotechnology for Islamic countries, for example. So there we mention all these disciplines that are important for us. Again, another workshop where my friend from Ohio University was here in from USA and many other international friends, and we tried to convey our message internationally, globally. So now measures taken in Pakistan like preventive and response. In prevent, we call it PPP. So for preventive, we had proactive. We remove the possible causes. For that, we do engagement, confidence building measure, and awareness raising. Then preventive, we erect barriers. We have, biosafety things in place in the universities, export control, for example. For preparation, we minimize impact if something, God forbid, happens. For that training, immunization, antibiotic, etc. For response, we have containment, we prevent spreading, for example, and then after care, return to normalcy, what should be done in the area if, God forbid, something happens. So we have all those things in place. As I said, within Pakistan, if you look at this, we have every stakeholder on board in industry, from Agriculture Institute to Pakistan Council for Scientific Industrial Research, universities, all of them almost, Pakistan Biosafety Association, Ministry of Science and Technology, Science Foundation, you name it. Everybody is on board. So this is how we are working. And this led us, this is the picture of Corona crisis. So, because of this training, we were able to do a lot of things online, hybrid mode with international and national people. You look at the bottom, Bangladesh, Nepal, Indonesia, Japan, China, Sri Lanka, Korea, Vietnam, Kyrgyzstan, USA, etc. Everybody involved, and we were discussing the issues like misinformation, disinformation, and everything, preparedness and countermeasure. So this is various events in a slide. I don't want to go into detail. So that training helped us to really, Pakistan was one of the country known as a good example for containment and for smart lockdowns, etc., etc. So this is what was the fruit of whatever we cultivated at that time. And another good thing is internationally we are known now. If you look at the BWC, brochure, our picture is there as an example of good practices of awareness raising in not only in Pakistan, but as I said, border Middle Eastern countries, the MENA region, where we were traveling to almost everywhere, Kuwait, UAE, Jordan, you name it. And we were doing all this for the general public, for the student, etc. So we were cited as a good example. And finally, I tell you one thing that now in my university, at least in my student, this MOSEL is for Molecular Systematics Applied Ethnobotany Lab. I own it in Qadir University still. And France is probably the only country where our master and PhD students take an oath. This is what they at least to realize them that they pledge to have integrity, they pledge to have publication ethics, etc., etc. And the context is that as in France that they do it, that this oath alone will not stop misconduct, but at least we are sending them to the market with some good intention to have some research integrity and some kind of transparency and reproducibility if possible. So finally, trust as an infrastructure. Why integrity is key for global security. Why we talk about global security? First, that the challenge for global threats are borderless. A virus, a bacteria doesn't need a visa and passport. Country like Pakistan, where all around we have different countries. So if you develop something bad is happening in one, it will spread. Corona is an example throughout the global. So there is that no single country can work it alone. Nobody is safe unless everybody is safe. So that is the principle that we should be working globally. Two, solution with international cooperation. No country, specifically no middle income country, very difficult to handle it alone. We have to pool resources, we have to harmonize standards, we have to have rapid data sharing that will prevent it. foundation for cooperation. If you do that, you need to have a trust and you do have a research integrity. And the real problem is misaligned culture, like symbolic fixes. For example, ethics, this oath is one just symbolic kind of thing. So this kind of thing to send good people in the market. Root causes to impact publication counts or rigor, transparency, and reproducibility. So the path forward would be building trust from the ground to up, promoted and rewarded those who are responsible scientists. So for the future initiative and vision, building on the foundation, whatever I said, whatever we have done is a good one aspect, but for future, let's continue awareness of policymaker, those who matter, like deans, vice chancellor, government bodies, etc. Promote National Institute of Bio Risk Management. This is my dream. I want to have Bio Risk Management Institute. I will be telling you in the last slide. And little that would be, raising, this will be a center that will raise dual use awareness in the country and globally. So we should learn from the global example. For this institute that we need some donor, like Management Institute in Australia, UK, and then Biosecurity Institute in Denmark. These are two examples. I put one from Australia, one from UK, that they have such an institute in place. So we in Pakistan also need such kind of things available. Let me conclude by saying Pakistan have done wonderfully well. We are a responsible nation. In biosecurity education, we have to move forward. Quality university, Qaeda universities. One example now, my own university, Federal Urdu University of Arts and Science and Technology, FUAST, will be leading this and we will be offering global partnership. Let's come, please join us. And for that, I request for stronger international collaboration, sharing material, resources, whatever available. And the future vision is to have a National Institute of Management Sciences, Biorisk Management and National Institute of Biorisk Management, and that let we have a center where everybody can come in and chip in and can do good for the wonder. At the end, let me thanks again, wonderful mentor of us, Malcolm Dando, and thanks Lee Jun Sean for inviting me to deliver this lecture. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.